Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 4th of March, now it's 15 to 3, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me once again emphasize how grateful I am for your time, attention and support. It truly does mean a lot to me, so thank you very much. And if I may, I will also ask subscribers on my Patreon to give me some questions if they uh, have one, and I will answer on those questions in my tomorrow's exclusive for Patreon. I have some plan for tomorrow's Patreon update. I will make some videos in city center here in this town where I'm living. It's quite nice place. This is suburbs of Moscow, we can say. And I have planned to also make video in the shopping mall, one of the shopping malls in this town, and maybe in one of the supermarkets. So you can see with your own eyes how effective or ineffective all those thousands and thousands of Western sanctions are. So yes, I hope it will be interesting. And as I promised, I will try to make updates on my Patreon every weekend, every week, at least once. And for example, next update, I want to go to Moscow and make some videos there. So let's see how it goes. So now let's talk about news, and I will start with Ukraine and special military operation. We have RIA Novosti's report here, according to which former general prosecutor of Ukraine, Lutsenko, has stated that he had received order to retreat from Bakhmut. So we are seeing now continuation of this Bakhmut retreat story. There is many videos are circulating in let me show you on the map this town. Many videos are circulating on Telegram, for example, of withdrawal of Ukrainian forces. Many units are withdrawing in disorganized manner, some of them withdrawing without even having the order to leave positions. And they are withdrawing not just from Bakhmut, but also from Chisov Yar, because on one of the videos, a territory was recognized, and that place was between Chisov Yar and Konstantinovka. So it seems like entire defense line is collapsing, not just in Bakhmut, but also in Chisov Yar. And basically, in my understanding, now huge part is starting to play exhaustion of Ukrainian armed forces, because many Ukrainian soldiers have some just psychological breakdown, and you can see that on videos. I did not share some of the videos on my Telegram channel because they are hard to watch, really, because it clearly shows you that the Ukrainian soldiers have some mental breakdown. And exhaustion, as I said, exhaustion is taking exhaustion of Ukrainian armed forces becoming main factor, one of the main factors in entire this battle between Russian forces and Ukrainian forces. So probably that's my guess. My predictions become quite truthful, because I was talking about inevitability of Bakhmut withdrawal for at least 2-3 weeks now, and I was showcasing indicators of preparation that Zelensky's regime was taking to withdraw forces from Bakhmut. But Now, I think Bakhmut and Chisov will collapse fairly soon. After that, Konstantinovka will become next hot point in this direction, and also we will see big activization of Russian side in north, in Seversk here, and Seversk will probably be encircled, or at least Seversk will end up being in operational encirclement, and the Russian side will become very active in direction of Krasny Liman here, Krasny Liman, and then Yampol. It's only a matter of 2-3 weeks probably, and Seversk will become under at least operational encirclement. And once this happens, then just look at this, man. That's Slavyansk, that's Kramatorsk. This last more or less prepared defense line of Zelensky's regime will become a next hot point. We can say it's a matter of months, maybe months and a half. And once these defense lines will collapse, nothing is stopping Russian side to move forward towards Dnieper, because there is no serious defense lines in between here in this area. So I may be wrong. After all, I am not a military expert, but my prediction is that we are seeing exhaustion of Ukrainian armed forces and mental breakdown. They are psychologically not really able to continue this fight. Many of the units of Ukrainian armed forces, and if that's the case, if I'm not mistaken, then we will probably see quite a big successful offensive operations from Russian side. When it comes to general situation on the front line, there was quite activization, quite active battles in direction of Krasny Liman and also in direction of Donetsk. And I have some information here. I will share it with you. For example, in Donetsk direction, according to Russian Defense Ministry, Ukrainian side lost around 500 soldiers, 490 soldiers killed and wounded. Also, tens of military equipment, including one tank, three armored personnel carriers, 4 pickup trucks, 9 other vehicles, 2 howitzers, Star B, and 2 howitzers of Star B and 3 howitzers of D30, 1 field artillery D20, and also US-made M777 was destroyed. So as you can see in Donetsk direction, in previous 24 hours, some heavy clashes did take place, and this was acknowledged even on this pro-Ukrainian map. As you can see, not just artillery duels, but also heavy clashes between the sides. And it's obvious now that Avdiivka, this town here, is becoming next hot point in this direction. And probably we will see pincer movement from Russian side, from south and northwest, to at least take operational control over the Avdiivka. And as I said, there was some heavy clashes in the direction of Krasny Liman too, and we have information that Ukrainian side on direction of Krasny Liman has lost 150 soldiers, killed and wounded. Also 2 armored personnel carriers, 5 other armored machines, and also multi-launch rocket system, Grad, Soviet era multi-launch rocket system. So there is some activization on direction of Krasny Liman also, and I was predicting this. If you remember, I was talking about this possibility for weeks now, because it was clear that Russian side will try to at least try to encircle Seversk, or at least to take operational control over this area. And I'm quite sure after Bakhmut, Chisovyar story will end, and this is a matter of days, maybe weeks. I hope Russian side will negotiate with Zelensky's regime, and the Russian side will give a corridor, humanitarian corridor, to Bakhmut garrison, and the Russian side will let them leave. But if Zelensky's regime will refuse, then Russian side just will be forced to take this city with fight, and yes, it will be devastating, a blow for Ukrainian armed forces. That's for sure. That's why yesterday Prigozhin himself did make video statement and asked Zelensky to save lives of soldiers of Bakhmut garrison, because they are no match for PMC Wagner units, and they will do basically nothing. They will just, they cannot stop Russian offensive, basically. They are not ready to fight. But yet again, it depends what kind of decisions Zelensky's regime will make, and I hardly doubt that they will give orders to all units in Bakhmut to withdraw. They will give orders for withdrawal to units that are more or less capable to fight, so that those units will be used in some other places. But I have some doubts that Zelensky's regime will care about lives of mobilized reservists. They will be probably left in Bakhmut. And if that's the case, I hope those units will surrender to Russian side, because Russian side, I did say that many times in my videos, Russian side will treat prisoners of war with according to Geneva Convention. So they will save the lives, and that will be probably best decision of their life, because there is no need for them to die for Zelensky's regime and Western masters of that regime. So yes, let's continue. And also we have information that's the Russian Defense Ministry that Ukrainian side did lost two Mi-8 helicopters, transport helicopters yesterday. I'm surprised that Zelensky's regime still has any aviation at all, but Western elites are trying hard to find Soviet equipment all around the world, and to transfer those weapons to Ukraine, and that's why we are seeing those endless numbers of destroyed armored vehicles, destroyed tanks, helicopters, jets, and so on. Let's continue. And we have RIA Novosti's report here about statements that Czech General Andor Shandor made. Andor. Oh, interesting. So he stated that Kiev basically lost this fight, this Czech general, and he's articulating that the Russian tactic is basically working, and Ukrainian side are just unable to keep up with the constant need for a fight, constant need for weapons, for ammunition, which means that even though active phase of conflict is continuing, Zelensky's regime has already lost this fight, and this is true. Really, this is true. And probably after Bakhmut will become under full Russian control, Bakhmut and Chisovyar also. Probably everyone will realize in Ukraine, and not just in Ukraine, but also in the West, that Zelensky's regime has lost this fight, and the Western elites also lost. they will be forced to realize this. So we have RBK's news reports, RBK news agency report here that Russian Defense Minister Shoigu went to front line and he spoke to officers of Vostok grouping, and he made some inspections of units, and he received some information from field commanders. So yes, this information shows that yes, Shoigu is trying to show himself as actively involved in this special military operation. This is, if I'm not mistaken, third time that he went to front line, which is good, really. I mean, that's what defense minister should do. I'm not saying that he should be in trenches and fight with next to soldiers. I mean, defense minister has a different defense minister has some different stuff to do. I understand that, but in general, it's good when military leaders are visiting frontline. So let's continue. But if I'm being honest, I think it's only a matter of time, and Putin will probably. Maybe Putin will not force Shoigu to resign, or maybe he will. But I think it's a matter of time, and Russia will have a different defense minister and also different head of general staff. So Shoigu and Gerasimov, in the next 2-3 months, maybe 6 months, will be out of Russian military. That's my guess, but let's see. So we have TASS news agency here about a meeting of Biden and Schultz that took place just recently. And this report is here concentrating attention on the statements that Biden and Schultz made about sanctions. And they said that they will put on Russia as many sanctions as it's necessary, and as long as they find it necessary. Basically, they are saying that they will, go to the end. But question is, what sanctions they are left to put on Russia? I mean, Russia is already most sanctioned country in the world, and lately, even Western media is starting to laugh at those sanctions, man, because now those Western elites are so low level that they are sanctioning just ordinary citizens of Russia. They may sanction me, for example. I don't know, man. So it's truly laughable, man. It's just it just showcase how unserious those so-called elites are in the West. Just bring it on, and what other sanctions you have left? Let's continue. This is TASS news agency, and we have a statement from Rainmetal, because it seems like German manufacturer Rainmetal, which is producing Leopard 2 tanks, for example. To be honest, this Rainmetal is one of the top companies in military industrial complex in the world. I will give them that. And there are some talks now to build a tank factory in Ukraine, which will be able to produce some 400 Panther tanks in a year. And investment may be around 20 million euros if deal will be reached. And same time, head of Rainmetal, what is his name? Armin Paperger. So he's saying that right now Ukraine needs from 600 to 800 tanks, and even if Germany will give all its Leopard 2 tanks to Ukraine, it will be not enough. It will be not enough. And to be honest, I said many times before, no matter how many weapons Western elites will give to Zelensky's Nazi regime, this fight is already won by Russia. It's only a matter of time. Well, Western elites will be forced to realize to agree with this simple truth. And we have also a statement from Medvedev. He said today that those Rainmetal factory in Ukraine will fairly soon meet with the Russian caliber missiles. So he's basically ironizing here, laughing at statements of head of Rainmetal, because I mean, how crazy you are really, that with all seriousness is discussing to build tank factory in Ukraine now. I mean, what is wrong with you, man? You would not be able to even make some foundations for a factory. Who will allow you to build factory there? I mean, what is wrong with these guys, man? Really, I mean. And Medvedev, former Russian president and current deputy of the head of Russian Security Council, is basically laughing at the head of Rainmetal, saying that that factory will meet with the Russian calibers fairly soon. It's let's continue, and but I should notice, man, Medvedev is truly very active lately, which may mean that he is considered probably by Putin as a possible successor of his. I was also thinking, and I'm still thinking, that Rogozin also probably are between those peoples that are considered by Putin as a possible next presidents of Russia. But Rogozin lately are little bit passive, when Medvedev is very active. He's every day in the news, and sometimes he makes some serious statements, sometimes he's just ironizing, like now. But he's in media. He has media attention, and that's probably part of something bigger than. But yet again, let's see. We have Kommersant newspapers information here about China and the Chinese plans to rise its military spendings this year. We have data about previous 2 years, and according to these numbers, in 2021, Chinese defense budget rise on 6.8% and up to $209 billion. In 2022, Chinese defense budget rise again on 7.1%, and it was $229.5 billion. And probably now Chinese, there is no specifics about how much Chinese military budget will be increased in this year, but probably no less than 7-8%. So we can say Chinese military budget is now in 2023 will be $250 billion, which is, I mean, huge. Only USA does spends more, like 3 times more. But no, second is definitely China. And if you take in account difference in manufacturing prices, then these 250 billion for China may, with these 250 billion, China may achieve much more than US can able to do with its 7 and 800 billions a year. After all, China don't have 800 military bases to finance all around the world, 800 or 400. This is hundreds of bases that US has just everywhere. So this is important because China is seeing how aggressive Western elites are, and Chinese are preparing because they know after Russia, Western elites will come after, come to China, and they are trying to be prepared. Let's continue. We have RIA Novosti's report here. How long is this video? 26 minutes. Okay, only a few news left, and yes. So we have RIA Novosti's report here about a statement that Russian embassy in UK made, and when I read this, I was thinking maybe these guys listen to my recent update because they remember a Skripal story. They remember Skripal story, and embassy has stated that United Kingdom did conduct this Skripal false flag operation in order to give a start to anti-Russian policies, anti-Russian hysteria, and if you take in account all those media reports at the time, you probably can agree with the Russian embassy because this story definitely was used to conduct some massive anti-Russian hysteria all around the Western world, isn't it? And this story was huge. This story was huge, even though not a single evidence was provided. Not a single evidence was provided that Russia has anything to do with this Skripal story. And yes, Russian ambassador is probably he was asked about this stuff. So maybe Russian embassy was asked to comment on this story, and that's why they remember about Skripals. But this is true. This is true. This story was used to start anti-Russian hysteria. I will say this way: first stage of West, of course, Western elites probably has some plan, long-term plan for 10, 15, 20 years, and they are acting based on this plan. And first stage of anti-Russian moves that they take was in Georgia in 2008. They use Saakashvili as a tool to provoke conflict between Georgia and Russia. And if you go back to time, and if you conduct investigation, you will see that first massive anti-Russian wave, anti-Russian propaganda, has begun from 2008. Then we see second stage in 2014 with coup in Ukraine. But that was not enough, of course. So they start in parallel. They did in 2008, if I'm not mistaken. They began using this poisonous story, this Novichok story, and they start story with Skripal. And that story was huge at the time. Then almost all so-called Russian opposition leaders, non-system opposition leaders, almost all of them stated at some point that they were poisoned. And almost all of them were saying that they were poisoned by Novichok. Even Navalny. And probably you remember Navalny's story was also quite huge in Western media, isn't it? And it was used to indoctrinate Western society in this anti-Russian movement and anti-Russian hysteria. And the question is, I mean, many people even then start asking questions. I mean, if this Novichok is so deadly, how come that there is almost like tens of people are saying now that we've been poisoned by Novichok and Kremlin is after us and all that crap, and no one died really. I mean, what the hell is? I mean, what is going on? Many people, straight away did realize that that was a hoax. That was, pure propaganda, pure provocation, from Western secret services, from Western elites, and yes, Russian embassy is basically right. This Skripal story was used to conduct some anti-Russian propaganda moves, but in my understanding, all this campaign, anti-Russian campaign, has begun from 2008. And I just mentioned why I think. So let's continue, and we have RIA Novostis news here about Brent oil, which has reached $86 for this moment, and Russian oil, Urals, price on Russian oil are based on price of Brent. So if Brent is $86, Urals probably around 70, 75. So it's quite a good price for Russia. And no matter how many price caps Western elites will put on Russian, demand for Russian oil will be always in the world. And this world is much bigger place than Western states. So yes, we have RT's report here about statements that Anton Silvanov made, Russian finance minister, and basically, to summarize, he's saying that West has been left disappointed by Russia's resistance, reliance to the punitive measures, most of which have backfired. That's what Anton Silvanov says, and everyone now, many economists and many experts are saying that Russian economy truly did surprisingly well. No one did expect that Russian economy will stand so many sanctions. I mean, such pressure from the West. Probably not even Russian economical leaders, if I may say, did think that economy will withstand this pressure. But at least on current level. But it is what it is, man. Russian economy is doing okay. I would not say that. I will not say that Russian economy is doing great, but Russian economy is doing okay, basically. And life in Russia is also as usual. I mean, we don't really feel in everyday life any big changes because of those sanctions. There are some misconveniences. That's the right word. Because when you're traveling, for example, it's difficult to use your banking cards because Russia has its own banking system, payment system, but not every country is accepting this. And there are some difficulties, but yet again, I mean, this does shows you that Western sanctions, if those sanctions are harming anyone or anything, mainly ordinary citizens, and that's fact, So yes, I will not go into numbers. You can see this article on the RT and read in details, but I will agree with Silvanov. I mean, Western elites probably are very much disappointed with the effectiveness of Western sanctions. And now we even see that EU, for example, are at least trying to little bit ease those sanctions, because as many experts are saying, these sanctions go both ways, and Western economy is also suffering, especially European economies. And now they are saying that Russian banks can use some alternatives of SWIFT to conduct some banking operations, and Europe will accept this. So yes, okay. Uh, why they use SWIFT as a weapon on the first place? It's just I don't know. But you know, it will take year, maybe two, three, and probably Western society will force Western elites to change policies, and many of these sanctions will probably just disappear. I'm quite sure most of those sanctions in 3 to 5 years time will just disappear, because Western economies will be forced to do so. Western elites will be forced to do so. And this is it. This is it for now. I hope you find today's update interesting, and if so, please hit that like button. Leave some commentary about any topic you like. I'm very active in the comment sections, and I'm trying to use all free time whenever I have it to have exchange of opinions. And yes, if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, or Telegram. That will be great help, of course. And if you can, and if you want to, you can support my channel through donations by PayPal and Patreon. You will see links in the description box under this video. So this is it. Thank you very much for your time and attention, for your support. Have a nice weekend. Take care and see you soon.